Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the feed. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty on
Good morning, Rockingham, and welcome to the feed. It's Mike and Marty. Here we are. It's March 2nd. We made it to March.
We're cruising on to spring.
I know, 20 days until spring.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras was yesterday. Did you go to Mardi Gras? Did you do any?
I did not do any Mardi Gras celebrations this year. I know I am usually inclined to, but I did not this year.
We're joined today by Ian Graham. He's the director of the library. He's going to fill us in on what's happening with library programs and tell us a little bit about himself. But we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to first do local events with Marty.
So coming to the Opera House on March 4th is The Batman. Like, I don't understand the difference between Batman and the Batman. So, but I do know it's popular because tickets were going on sale as of the 28th, which was Monday. So if they're putting tickets on sale prior to the show, my guess is that it's going to be a pretty popular
It
movie.
is. It's pretty important because I heard, there's this war going on in Ukraine. One of the sanctions that has been placed on Russia is
They can't see the
that they
Batman.
will not show the Batman in Russia. I think that will bring them to their knees.
I'm sure it will. The classic movie this week is sponsored by Emily Bragonier and Tim Lillis, and it's Harold and Maude,
Oh, neat.
which is quite
That's
an
a good one.
interesting, and I think kind of like one of those cult following movies.
Yeah,
A lot of people like it. Reminder that on March 12th, The Logger is going to be at the Opera House. That's always a good time if you're looking for something to do. And then, drum roll please, on March 9th, it's the film premiere of the Fact TV movie No Exit.
Whoa. And I
Very
think
exciting. I think we have a clip.
we have a clip. We have the trailer here. So let's show the trailer.
According to the FBI, aggravated assault is up 10%, murder is up 15%, and drunken disorderlies are 20%. Imagine you're in your house 24/7, your significant other, your kids, your pets, you're in those four walls 24 hours a day. There is no exit.
Hey, you gonna pass a beer or what, dude?
I'm losing time. I'm waking up in weird places. And I'm scared.
I think his phone's been disconnected and it's pretty weird.
Look, man, we wanted to tell you. I swear to Christ we did. Because you're my best friend.
My roommate just tried to kill me.
I love you, man.
It's rest and relaxation that you're prescribing. Then home is the last place I need to be.
I think
Well,
it's
what do
gonna
you
be.
think?
I think it's gonna be a good one.
A
So,
psychological thriller.
Yeah, mark your calendars. Next Wednesday, 7 p.m.
Yes. Sounds good. At the Opera House.
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday was Election Day. Just a quick recap. Elijah Zimmer and Richard Cohen won in the for the select board. What's his name? I lost it. Chris Kibbe won for the school board, and Priscilla Lambert won for the school board. The selling retail cannabis in Rockingham passed, and the buying the train station passed. And I think those were the big,
Yeah,
the
I
big
think Stefan
items.
didn't-
Everything else was pretty much uncontested.
Yep, all of the,
all the budgets
All the
passed.
budgets passed. The
The
Rockingham
library
budget
budget passed, and
Yeah.
that's why, Ian's here today and not out with the
No,
selling
no.
pencils on the street. so
Yeah, I didn't think about that with timing. Wow.
that is pretty
Crossed
good.
Why is
my
that
mind.
here?
Yes. Well, Ian, welcome. Let's move right on to I think we can move right on to the library. Ian Graham is the new library director. When did you start?
I started on November 1st,
Yeah.
so just a few months ago.
Yeah. How do you like it so far?
Well, I love it. I mean, it's really, as people in town already know, it's a really great library. It's a big library with a really strong collection and connection to the community. And it, we bring in a lot of new stuff all the time. It's really impressive to me how much new stuff is coming in the door all the time. And also, we use this system Wowbrary, which for people who register for it, gets an email out once a week to list the new resources that have come in. And people start to reserve those right away. They come right in to pick them up. Yeah, so just to see the kind of ongoing change of that is really exciting. But on the other end, we also have a lot of historical records of the town, from old newspapers to a lot of photographs and objects and things like that. And so, I think that some of our recent programs have really focused on the history of the town. And so I think there's a real opportunity both to feed the community sort of the latest James Patterson and Louise Penny, as well as sort of delve into its own history. So I love it. I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Where did you come from? Where were you raised? Or
where
did you go to school? And how did you get here?
I'd like to say I was raised in Kansas, and there's truth to that. But I lived in New Jersey I was born in New Jersey, lived there till I was 5, moved to Kansas for about 8 years, and then moved back to the same town in New Jersey and went to high school there. And so, I feel like a Kansan, and it's sort of my formative years. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, which in New England didn't cause any problems at all for years and years and years. It was no issue whatsoever. And then recently, it's been more of an issue. And so, but anyway, so yeah, and then I got my bachelor's degree from Drew University in New Jersey, and I got my master's degree in library science from Syracuse University. So, and I have been working in academic libraries for basically my whole career. And so I decided a couple years ago to try to figure out how to make the switch to public libraries. Didn't seem obvious at the time, but my kids are both either college age or getting to be college age, and it was interesting to me that I sort of wanted to stop working at colleges right when they started being college
But
students.
it might be a benefit.
And so that's my background, and this has been a nice place to land.
Why? Just out of curiosity, I don't know the difference between why public libraries are public libraries more fun or more varied, or what?
It really comes down to who it's serving. So obviously college and universities primarily are serving the students kids, and the faculty on that campus. And that's great and everything. And I support the concept of education, obviously. But, I'm a librarian really from a service mindset. And I always knew, or I learned over time that serving a municipal community through a municipal library, public library, sort of felt more, I always just thought about it a lot, and then at some point decided to really think about making that change. Yeah. And I think it's my sense of it has been confirmed. I mean, I really enjoy being in service to this community, which is, it's much broader than just a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds, frankly.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by our libraries' range of things that they do. It's just unbelievable. It's just from the children's programs to, like you say, the historical programs to just even the fact that they give out hotspots. Yeah. That was I was talking with someone the other day that wouldn't have any internet access if it weren't for the library loaning her a hotspot.
I mean, it's been a very interesting kind of development over the last, as technology has developed over time, because, libraries are all about connecting people to information. Yeah. But if so much of that information is online and people don't have the infrastructure, the computers, the internet connections, all these kind of things, libraries can step in and make sure to make that connection possible as well. For example, you can sit outside of the library building 24/7 and connect to the free Wi-Fi that's very fast.
Oh, nice.
And so we don't have to be open for that. It's another good thing.
Yeah.
Another good thing.
Well, there's also I think there's the there's a human connection too that the library provides. I remember this is years ago working there. You kind of have your regulars that came in at certain times of the day, like sometimes to read the newspaper. You know, granted they could probably buy it and read it at home, but maybe that was their social connection for the day, to you know to sit and chat and see other people. And I'm assuming there's still a lot of that happens. You have your regular folks that come and.
That's absolutely true, and it's given me a chance to meet some people since they're, you know, there day after day. And one of the very first things I wanted to do, it was such a little thing I thought, and I still think, was the fireplace in the back of the room. Obviously it's not used, but architecturally it's very interesting, and it has a beautiful painting of the Vilas Bridge over it. Right, exactly. And so a couple things had sort of gotten in the way of that fireplace, like the newspaper stand and stuff. And so I just found ways to clear that out.
Oh, nice.
Because we have 4 beautiful chairs there, and just for the sense that people, this is the community's library, it's not the librarian's library. And so people do come in and sit in those chairs, and that's exactly what we want. I offer to light the fire occasionally, but of course we can't light the fire, but it does feel like it deserves a fire in that.
Yeah.
In the fireplace, just to be clear.
Nice.
So I think the human connection of all this is really the most important part to me, and I've really enjoyed meeting people in town. It's a really interesting town, and there's I've met all different kinds of people so far, and I just look forward to meeting more, especially as the activity picks up.
I guess that was going to be, well, go ahead, Bonnie.
I think we might have the same question. Did you know much about the town before you came here? Did you research the town, or did you just, it was about the library and the town was like secondary, or how did that kind of?
Well, I'm a librarian, so I research things.
That was a silly question. Really, put my foot in my mouth there.
So so as I said, this has been like kind of a multi-year process as I've thought about, you know, what this would look like. And so once I did look at Vermont very, very closely because I wanted to be in Vermont. And so, you know, a lot of what I was seeing was like, is that, you know, it's either Burlington, maybe UVM, you know, there's Middlebury and things. But, you know, as I said, I wanted to be in a municipal public kind of thing. And so this is a really big library, you know, so when this came up and I saw it and I started looking into it, so many aspects of it became really intriguing to me, not least of which was the history of the town. And just the fact that the town approved the purchase of the train station yesterday sort of, you know, in my head was a little affirmation of my decision to get involved in this community. And so I did a fair amount of research, and yet I learn new things every day, all day, every day, which would be where I would want to be, you know, in my life. And so it's a very active community. There's a lot going on. I went to the town informational meeting the other night, and got a good sense of the community, and some people there who I hadn't met yet knew who I was, and so they introduced themselves.
Oh, nice, nice.
So
good.
it's really been, you know, what I learned about the town and what I'm learning about the town has been really satisfying.
Nice. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear that from folks outside the town. And we've had this discussion with other folks. I'm local, been here a long time. Mike's been here a long time, and sometimes when you have lived in a place for a long time, you take it for granted and don't realize the charm or the things that it has to offer. So it's always very reaffirming to hear someone come in and point that out. I think it's you know, it's
but
important.
To be totally clear, she was born here, but I chose to be here.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
And I did a similar thing. I researched, and we ended up moving from Texas to here and we looked all over New England, and we ended up, because it's just a neat place. I don't know.
I mean, the architecture of the town to me is so fascinating, and the history of the downtown. I mean, from the fires that have burned, but also to the train that goes underneath, and the fact that I mean, one thing I learned that I never knew, I don't remember knowing, is that as logs would be brought down the river from the logging companies, if a log ended up on somebody's private property on the bank of the river for more than 10 days, it then belonged to them. And
really?
That is one of the most interesting, and I could be making all this up, I definitely read it somewhere, but those kinds of things just they really, I think, illustrate the characteristic of a town, and it tells you a lot about what had been happening here, you know, so.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm a history nut too, so it's like one of those little known but interesting facts that go, yeah, I could see
Could be
that.
still on the books for all I know.
Yeah, I'll go look for wood at
Keep an eye on the riverbank.
There you go. 10 days, though. You gotta wait 10 days.
Yeah, and maybe we could talk at some point, maybe not necessarily today, but talk about the library itself, the history of the library, because it was a Carnegie. You brought it up today, and I guess I knew that, but I didn't realize what that meant.
I mean, there's only 4 Carnegie libraries in the state of Vermont. Carnegie funded, I think it was more than 150 libraries around the world, and steel magnate from Pittsburgh, and just decided that building libraries was going to be part of his legacy, and so he had a secretary who worked with him who sort of led the charge on all these kinds of things, and because of Rockingham size, there was an opera house, it had sort of the infrastructure and size to warrant a library. So over time, that around 115 years ago, that developed. 1909 is the year the library opened, and so we have a picture of Andrew Carnegie on the wall that I had to ask, who's that guy? that was a shameful moment for me. But so anyway, and there's some wonderful photography of the laying of the cornerstone in maybe 08, 09. And I think it's really, that's a rich history, but also it really speaks to the town's importance to the state of Vermont, that there's only 4 total libraries that were funded by Carnegie.
Yeah, I was talking with Emmett Dunbar the other day too, and he was saying at that time period, in the early 1900s, Bellows Falls was really quite a wealthy, big, and important town in as far, and we don't quite get that sense right now. It's more like a tiny village that we, sort of like. But back in those days, they were building all these big houses. They built the library, and the library itself is an amazing
all
building.
Of the industry that was along the river at that time, and I only know because of the pictures at the library. Because you would see the streets of the town just packed with people, and the trolley car that went from here to Barbers Park and to Saxon.
The Saxons are so interesting.
Went all the way through around town, picked stuff up, and it wasn't because we did. I guess it was for moving things between the factories more than it was for moving people.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, I had it's been a really interesting connection to me that I hadn't realized at all. So when I worked at Wellesley quite a while ago, the main administrative building is called the Hetty H.R. Green Hall.
Oh, really?
And the reason is that a building in 1914, the main original Wellesley building, I won't go too far off on this, burned to the ground, and so there was a need to kind of rebuild the campus, and so this was a major effort, and the building wasn't open until about 1931 or 32, and it was paid for by her estate, or her descendants. And so I knew a little bit about Hetty Green from that, just because I'd been the archivist at Wellesley, so I knew some of the history there. And to find that she has this rich connection to this town, this same person who has got such a fascinating kind of life, was really, another signal to me that there was something that was connected there. That was, so, the history, I think, especially from that time period, fascinating.
Excellent.
Not just the logs on the riverbank.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. So you're at the library now. You just had your budget passed.
Yes.
What do you see as in the future of the library, both sort of short term and then long term? What are the goals?
Well, short term, like literally happening right now, is something that's very exciting that I hope to have the chance to bring up. Is that we have subscribed to a language learning software called Mango that is highly regarded, has more than 100 languages, also has a lot of English as a second language stuff, and this is there some other libraries in the state, even in the network we're in, have this as well, and it's a subscription kind of thing, and we were able to find an anonymous donor who wanted to support it for a year to see how this would work.
Oh, nice!
And so it will be available in a week or two. It takes a little bit of time to establish the kind of infrastructure needed, but that's happening right now, and that's the kind of resource I think we would love to be able to make available to the community. Now, what's interesting is we hope people will use it, and if it turns out it's not right, then a year from now we'll find something different, or do something different about it. But so that's a kind of lean in a different direction, and it turns out there's been at least some interest in the town in something like this for a while. And so we were really pleased to be able to figure out a way to satisfy
Oh, good.
that interest, and then also to sort of see how we can connect with the community on it.
Now, just a little more detail on it.
Yeah.
Will people connect to Mango through the library? How that, is it, because it's not, I don't understand exactly what it is, so I guess.
So if you have, the way we subscribe to these things, I know way too much about this from my time in higher ed when so much stuff was licensed, but, you know, we license it, you know, for the content of this thing. It has its own app and website, and if you have a library account, so you're a resident of Rockingham and you go and you get a library account, which is free, then you can use it. And so you would log in. It's very similar to some of the kind of audiobook stuff that you do.
Yep.
It's a similar kind of thing. You have to authenticate, as they say, your way into it, and then you can use it from that
Nice.
point. And
Wow,
I hear,
nice.
although I haven't used it yet and I haven't downloaded it, I hear the app is awesome for it.
Oh, great, that's neat.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
So that's kind of, you know, a real short-term thing that we've been focused on. Obviously, the budget was something we were
Yeah,
paying a lot of
yeah.
attention to. We have new board members who will be starting later this week. And then, you know, long-term, I think a lot of it has to do with sort of making sure the community knows how much we're open, because obviously the pandemic had an impact on that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And then starting to really, it's a real priority for me to hear what the community has to say about the library. So we had this very positive, affirming vote yesterday, so I know the library is valuable to the community, but in what specific ways? And the things that I'm hearing through kind of observation are what I said before. Historical stuff is really interesting to the town. I was told before I took the job that a program on Hetty Green was the most popular program the library had run that anyone could
Oh, really?
remember.
I
And
believe
so,
it.
yeah, and so I know that there's a real kind of interest among town in this kind of stuff. And so we want to, again, utilize some of the historical stuff, put more online, ideally, that kind of thing. But I think also as we develop programming in general, moving forward, it's really important. Programming has been super constrained. A lot of it's been
has
on
been,
Zoom and all
yep.
that kind of stuff. And so I just think, you know, it's harder for me to think in terms of 5 years out than it is to think in terms of 6 months or a year out
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the impact of
COVID,
COVID,
yeah.
exactly. And so, but mostly what's important to me is that I really understand what it is the community hopes to get from the library and figure out ways to, you know, help the staff, who's excellent, you know, deliver whatever the service is.
Yes, I agree.
So,
We're about 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Is there anything that you want to, like, call for volunteers or a specific program you'd like to?
Not, you know, what I would say is just what I've been trying to say in various places, which is that we're open 6 days a week. We're open Monday through Wednesday, 10 to 6, Thursday and Friday, 10 to 5:30, and Saturday, 10 to 1. You know, I think that not everyone knows that because
Right.
somebody asked me just the other night, you know, when's you
Are
guys
you
open?
open?
And so I actually, you know, we got an open flag we're going to put outside, but unfortunately the building is all basically like stone, and so
Yeah.
it's hard to figure out how to screw it into the building. But anyway, we're working on that. But we really want people to know that we're open, and
Yeah,
and the fireplace has been exposed again and it is available and all that.
Great.
And you know, that's my main message, I think, is just come visit us. You know, we have new books coming in all the time, as well as a lot of, you know, classics.
Right.
I just checked out and read The Handmaid's Tale from our library, which
really?
I had never read before.
Oh,
Oh,
I've
good,
only
And
good.
seen
so
the
it turns out we had
couple
2
of them.
copies and both were checked out. One of them was the same thing. So just,
great.
that's my message, is come and visit.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you and shout out to Sam Maskell for all the great work she does. I mean, just,
Yeah.
I know that she's already doing after-school programs again in the library. That's really cool.
Yeah, you know, Sam's obviously fantastic
Yeah.
and really important to the community. All the staff is, and as you know,
Yes,
working
yes.
this adult programming and stuff, and so all the staff deserves a real shout out.
Yeah.
They've been great to me to help me understand what I should be doing and all
They
that
haven't
too.
made you do any silly sort of.
They do, but just
Yeah.
for fun, and none of it's ended up online as far as I can tell or anything like that. So
The
they
initiation.
deserve it.
The
Yeah, they there's a little hazing that's happening. Sure.
Send you out to look for some prop wash.
Yeah,
or things like
exactly.
that,
Yeah, fake books. You know, this kind of stuff.
We gotta have fun.
Yeah, you gotta
better
have
be.
fun. Ian, it's great having you on. I hope you'll come on again. I hope you bring your staff and sort of be a regular, because we love promoting the library and the programs, and this is a good way to get the word out if you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime.
All right, great. Thank you. I think that's it for this week. Next week is
Betsy Thurston.
Oh,
Talking
next
about
week
everything
is,
happening with BIFTA.
All right, so we'll find out what's happening downtown. Everyone have a good time. It's going to be sugar season soon, so.
And thanks
see you
for
later.
coming out and voting.
Yeah, thanks.
for
Good
coming out and
turnout.
voting.
Yeah,
Good.
we can use an even better turnout.
Exactly.
Great.
Bye, community.
Bye.
Thank you.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music.